Happy Wednesday, everybody, and welcome into Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham. Got a lot to discuss. Thanks for everybody for being here today. Normally we go live every Monday and Thursday, but with the final preseason game against the Chiefs being on Friday, thought make more sense. Let's go live Wednesday. We'll kind of have a scaled back day on Thursday, and then, of course, we'll ramp it back up for our live watch party on Friday. But listen, it wouldn't be a live show if it wasn't for Michael Horowitz dropping a 50-piece Cullen to kick this thing off. Horowitz saying not having running water, 10 big ones over 2 years is just as impressive as going from D2 to having a 2-year NFL contract. Bro has won at life even if he never plays again. Obviously talking about the Tyson Bagent extension. Yeah, we're going to get into some more Tyson Bagent contract reaction. He got emotional after practice today when talking to the media, talking about that, his dad's kind of his right-hand man. His dad didn't have running water until he was in high school. He grew up in a town where not many people have a lot of money, and now he signs a 2-year, $10 million deal worth $16 million, Colin. It's a pretty cool story from a guy who probably shouldn't be here based on where he came from, where he played his college ball, and not getting drafted. So it's cool to see. Cool to see hard work getting rewarded like that.
Absolutely. And look, Tyson Bagent's been one of the better backup QBs in the NFL for pretty much most of the time he's been in the league. And for him to get this extension obviously shows great loyalty by the Bears. And somebody that, again, in a pinch, you could absolutely have him come in, 2, 3, 4 games, however long it is, and he can give you quality playing time. And under this, Ben Johnson regime and this Ben Johnson offense, and with the weapons that they've now added, I mean, he's a viable potential fringe starter in certain cases. So, listen, he obviously came from a background which Horowitz highlighted. Shout out to you, by the way, Michael. You just love to hear it. I love hearing these stories. It's part of the reason that, we watch these athletes do these incredible things on Sundays, Mondays, Thursdays, what have you, but they're people too, and they come from different backgrounds. They come from different situations, and to see them, overcome those obstacles is part of the reasons why we love watching the sports that we do. So congrats to Bagent, and just happy that he got extended.
Yeah, he also said that he did. The Bears approached him last week with this, and he slept on it for a few days because he said, "Look, I've thought about hitting the open market next year. Now, he is restricted. The Bears have some control there, but he thought about hitting the market and seeing if there would be starting interest from other teams. But he said this coaching staff and this offense were big factors in him signing this deal. And look, when you're on an undrafted free agent contract, sure, you're making hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's much more than most human beings. I think the average salary in America is $37,000 or something like that. So he's certainly not struggling. But from where he came from, team offers you $10 million. You like it here. You don't have to move. Like, you get the I don't know what the guarantees are. Incentives up to 16 though. You would imagine 7 or 8 of it's guaranteed. Like, you can't blame him for turning that down at all. And, the Bears were the team that gave him a shot. And, it's kind of the loyalty kind of goes both ways here. So I think it's a good move. And look, if Caleb for sure ends up being the guy and you're Bagent, an opportunity will pop up down the road. Maybe he becomes a trade piece for a team looking for a starter in the future. So I think it's a smart move on his part. Get that money while you can. You're still a young player. If you keep improving, keep ascending, guys like Ben Johnson keep saying good things about you, you'll get an opportunity at some point. So I think it's absolutely an awesome thing for everyone involved. Let us know where you guys are watching from. Sorry we're a little late, as Lacora pointed out, but a couple things on that. We've already done 2 videos today. We put out a roster bubble video this morning. Go check that out after the live show if you haven't. We did break down the Tyson Bagent extension in length as well. So both those videos are up on the channel. Just subscribe and go to the content tab. And now we're live on a Wednesday when we normally aren't. So, sorry we're 31 minutes behind normal kickoff time here, but you could argue we're 23 and a half hours early. Because
Oh, yeah.
normally we go live Thursday.
See, that's looking at the glass half full versus half empty, which is LaCour is something you should do more often.
Come on, LaCour. Cut us some slack here. Cut us some slack. So, no, we appreciate everybody hanging out. We got Duff in Glendale, Phillip in Mount Prospect, Pensacola is where W. Fierre's Benjamin in Louisville, Lanitz in Paris, Illinois, San Antonio from my guy Jeff Bartlett. Appreciate all of you. We got Brian Duffy. What's up with Brisker's tweet week? So I'm going to give Brisker the benefit of the doubt here because he did just reply to Bill Zimmerman, who called him out and basically implied that because the timing was shortly after the Tyson Bagent extension, and what Brisker tweeted was basically,
Can't
"Damn,
believe they back
can't
on
forget they turned their back on me," or something like that.
Yeah.
And Bill Zimmerman, who covers the Bears in some capacity, said, "Sounds like someone was hoping for an extension and isn't getting one." Brisker replied, "Not even close." Zimmerman said, "Bad timing on your tweet. Love that I'm wrong. Hope 2025 is your best yet." Brisker, just a tweet. I don't know what made it bad timing, but I definitely appreciate that. And he said, Zimmerman said, "You tweeted it 2 minutes after the Bagent contract extension, yada, yada, yada. Came across to me that others were getting new paper. You hadn't yet. My bad. All good." Brisker, "Oh, shit. LOL. I just found out at practice. Bagent's my guy. That's major. Never would be like that toward my teammates." And I will say this.
Yeah.
Brisker it has been cryptic Twitter guy in the past. He's also known as a good teammate. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt in this spot and just say it was untimely. Because there was another theory here that he didn't make the top 100, which of course he didn't. He barely played last year. So, look, Brisker's a leader on this team. He's an emotional guy. We know that. He's got a lot to prove that he can stay healthy. I'll give him a pass here. I'm not going to jump to any conclusions there. The timing did seem sus, but I don't think he'd throw a teammate under the bus like that.
Yeah, and he also reposted a tweet from a fan account. It says, "Real Brisker heads know that he always posts stuff about people sleeping on him or doubting him."
He's a keep receipts guy, no question about it. So
yeah.
And a lot of these athletes are. They use social media as a motivation tactic. So, look, when it comes to Brisker being here long term, if he can have a healthy and productive season, the Bears will consider keeping him. If he's injured again, this is probably it. So, big 2025 ahead for Kwani B, but I'm going to cut him some slack in this one and hope that was not the case. I don't think it was. All right, so the Bears are going to play starters. The Chiefs are going to play starters on Friday. If you're excited to watch starters play, type Bear down in the comment section below. We'll get a few shout-outs. Colin, it should be a fun Friday night. A lot of these teams mail it in general in the preseason, especially you get to this last game. So it'll be exciting to see, the however many time defending AFC champs play their starters. A good test for the Bears because while the starters played last week, they didn't play against the ones. I think a few Bills defensive starters play, but not many. So it'll be a good opportunity to go up against the Chiefs defense.
Not only that, but this
and
is
vice versa.
I was about to say the vice versa is what I've been kind of more or less highlighting because again, we trust Dennis Allen. We know that there's talent on that side of the ball. They've certainly had their fair share of good days during training camp so far, but again, it's a new defensive scheme. We'll see, how guys like Brisker and how that cornerback room dealing with all the injuries that they've been dealing with. Like this whole scheme, I'm very interested to see them go up against Patrick Mahomes and this Kansas City offense. So yeah, I think this is going to be a good litmus test for everybody coming off that super high week 2 victory. Obviously, 38-0 is a big part of what people are talking about, but now we get to see some ones-on-ones. So I'm very interested to see both on the offense and defense side of the ball for the starters.
Yeah, should be a good test. I mean, the defense only played 3 snaps against Buffalo, so it was a 3-and-out, then they pulled them. So Andrew Billings said today something along the lines of, they're going to play us till we're tired, so I would imagine that's at least a few drives. So should be fun. And final time we see them play until week 1. So.
Yeah. Happy Bears fan says, when is joint practice? I don't think they have a joint practice.
No joint practices. The Chiefs, Andy Reid is not a joint practice guy. He's never done them. So no joint practice today with the Chiefs or this week. All right, get this thing rolling here. If you want to help us out, like the video. Only got 26 likes, 250 people watching. Let's get a much better like ratio there. Get more Bears fans, combined Bears and fans in the same word, bands in the chat, and we'll get this thing rolling here. We got some camp news and reaction, a lot of injury updates that I want to discuss off the top of today's show. Some more Tyson Bagent reaction as well. I thought I'd do a little trade targets before roster cutdown day. We'll take a look at some guys. You're already seeing it today. The Jets and the Browns did one of those pick swap trades. Remember last year the Bears traded for Darrell Taylor. They traded for Chris Williams in a pick swap. So you start to see these minor trades go down for teams who need to target a certain position. So we will take a look at that, and then we will do a preseason preview as the Bears take on the Chiefs in the final preseason game of the year. So all that and more. We'll take your questions as well. We're not going to do a full mailbag, but if you super chat, we'll work those into the show. But other content to get to today, so let's get to it. We've got good news and bad news on the injury front to discuss here on Chicago Bears Now. My name is Harrison Graham. That's where we'll kick things off today. The Bears have also signed a running back, but probably more of a short-term solution with this final preseason game about to take place. And Ben Johnson spoke to the media after the Tyson Bagent extension news came down. He gave some thoughts, plus we heard from Bagent as well. So going to react to all that as it's been a big day for the Bears QB2. All right, it is official. Terell Smith is out for the year. He's been placed on season-ending IR with a torn patellar tendon. That's a brutal injury. I mean, you'd almost rather have an ACL, to be honest. So tough break for him. Thoughts go out to him as he begins this long recovery process. And obviously a bummer for the Bears as well. He probably wasn't going to win a starting job, but definitely was going to be on the 53-man roster as one of the top backup outside corners. He's played some good ball in his first 2 years, rotating in with Tyreek Stevenson at times. So tough to see, tough injury to come back from. So we wish him the best as he slowly begins that process here. And obviously a lot of guys have been banged up. Jalen Johnson, sounds like he's on his way back. He warmed up before the Bills game. That was good to see. Kyler Gordon, we'll get to him in a second. He was back at practice today. That's good. Luckily, this has been a position where you do have a lot of bodies, but I think a guy like Nick McLeod is probably in good position to make the roster now. I know Brad Biggs mentioned that. I had mentioned that as well. He's a guy to keep an eye on with these injuries going down as someone who could make the roster. Could Trey Flowers sneak onto the 53? We'll have to wait and see. This final preseason game will be important for guys on the roster bubble. Speaking of Kyler Gordon, he was back at practice today. He was limited, didn't fully participate in team drills, but he's missed just over 2 weeks with, I believe, a hamstring injury. So good to see him back out there. Wouldn't expect that he would play on Friday, but should be good to go for week one as the season opener is just under 3 weeks away, 19 days away. So it'll be here quick. But if he's getting back in the mix, he should be good to go for that. A little bit of an injury scare in practice, and there's been some mixed reporting on this as Mark Grody tweeted out that Javon Dexter returned to the practice field after hurting his leg in 11-on-11 today. Gingerly walked off the field with the trainer into the building. A couple other reporters said that he came back for one snap and then was doing stuff off to the side. So it doesn't sound serious, but could be one. You know, if he has a bone bruise in his knee or something like that, maybe they would hold him out of Friday's game, so keep that in mind. Kevin Fishbane with kind of an attendance report, if you will. Guys who did not practice: Case Keenum, Devin Duvernay, Travis Homer, Roschon Johnson, Kyle Monangai, Josh Blackwell, Eamon Ogbogbemiga, Doug Kramer, Dominique Robinson, Austin Booker. Kyler Gordon was back, but limited, as we just mentioned. And this is a development. I mentioned this, I was told by someone I trust last week that Zay Frazier has been around at times, and multiple reporters reporting today they did see him. He did not practice. He was not in pads, but he's at least lurking around. So maybe that's a positive sign that he'll get back in the fold in some regard. Again, don't know what that means for his status on the 53, but we'll continue to monitor that situation. And obviously, out of all the absentees, I'm most interested in Austin Booker's status. I'm hoping this isn't a serious deal. I don't really need to see him in the preseason finale, but he was kind of in line to be your third edge rusher, so you need him to be healthy. If he's not, even if it's just for a couple games, Dom Rob's also out. Do you have enough coming off the edge to put into your rotation for week one early in the year? Hopefully Austin Booker is all good. In other news, Deion Hankins has also been placed on IR. The good news, and we saw this last year with Ian Wheeler, is now he can rehab with the team. He suffered a quad injury dealing with the shoulder problem as well. He can rehab with the team and stick around, right? Because he was likely going to get cut anyways, fringe practice squad guy probably. So now he could stick around the team, be in the building for a year, still make some money, and obviously do his rehab with the Bears medical staff. So I think that's a win-win for everyone involved. Obviously, you don't want him to be injured, but kind of a blessing in disguise. Still get that paycheck and get to do your rehab with the team. All right, subscribe to the channel. We're covering the latest news, rumors, injury updates, previews, pregame, postgame show, live watch parties. We do it all here on Chicago Bears Now. Do not miss out on any of it. Speaking of watch parties, we will be live for Bears versus Chiefs, the preseason finale on Friday night, 5:45 p.m. Central Time. If you see this thumbnail, you are in the right place. If you subscribe and turn on notifications, you will get a notification when we go live with this thumbnail, knowing that it is us. We have a lot of fun. Pre-game show, live play-by-play reaction, post-game show, raffle giveaways. Should be a blast. Be sure to join us. All right, the Bears have signed a running back after working out 3 players yesterday. This is in response to Deion Hankins' injury and just other guys being nicked up as well. We will tell you who that is and what it means after this, as we first need to tell you about today's sponsor. That, of course, is Prize Picks. Daily fantasy made easy at prizepicks.com/CLNS. Football season is here with the preseason rolling along, college football upon us as well. Don't miss any of the action. Get involved with Prize Picks. It's very easy to play Prize Picks, as you just pick more or less on stat projections on 2 to 6 player lineups. If you get your lineup right, you can win up to 2,000 times your money. That's right. You can turn $10 into $20,000 with Prize Picks. Week 0 is here, and we got a special deal for you, as you're already halfway to winning a 2-player lineup by taking more than half a passing yard on Avery Johnson. I also got Rocco Becht on more than 16.5 rushing yards as well. Be sure to check that out. You can do a 3, 4, 5, 6-player lineup, but you get that little discount there like you do on Avery Johnson. I like turning it into a 2-player lineup because it's, pretty decent little play there to win some cash. $20 to win 60 if that hits. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Link is in the comments and in the description. Okay, Brad Biggs had the note that the Bears are bringing back Royce Freeman, bringing him back from yesterday after he tried out on Tuesday. Freeman was with the team, I forgot about this, on the practice squad back in December. He's been with a total of 8 teams in his career. Again, having the Deion Hankins note there as he is on injured reserve. He was one of 3 players to work out yesterday along with Dylan Johnson and Kylan something. Freeman, the veteran of that group that worked out. Fairly productive career. He's bounced around like Biggs mentioned, but over 2,000 all-purpose yards. In all likelihood, and by all likelihood at 99.9999% chance, this is just to help get through Friday. The Bears have been battered at running back in terms of injuries. Not necessarily long-term injuries, but injuries that have forced guys out during parts of training camp and right now. The healthy running backs the Bears have for Friday, DeAndre Swift, Ian Wheeler, Britton Brown, and now Royce Freeman. And we saw the Bears keep out a healthy DeAndre Swift in the second preseason game. They could do so again. So if you go that route, even if he does play, it's going to be like a drive or two. you don't want to just have two healthy backs available in Ian Wheeler and Britton Brown. So they needed somebody that can suit up and eat up some carries, especially in the second half of that game when it's mostly guys who are going to be on practice squads or looking for a job here in the next week. So Freeman gets an opportunity. Probably won't be a long-term answer here, but hey, go out there, put some good tape on film, and control what you can control. So that is the signing of the day. Now, from the running back position as a whole, who's going to be the RB2 when the season starts? Fill in the blank. The Bears' RB2 this year will be blank. Is that player not on this roster? Is it Roschon Johnson? Is it Kyle Monangai? Let me know who it is down in the comment section below. All right, I want to get into some more reaction on this Tyson Bagent contract extension. We broke down the full news earlier today that he got a 2-year, $10 million deal with incentives up to $16 million. We heard from Ben Johnson. We also heard from Tyson himself. I want to read off some of those quotes here. We'll start with what Ben had to say. He was asked if he thought Tyson could be an NFL starter, and he said, "I don't think there's any question about it. I've been blown away by his approach from the spring to the start of camp to where we are now. He does a tremendous job knowing what to do and how to do it. I don't think you can have enough talent in that room. I think we have one of the best rooms in the NFL from top to bottom. We have 3 to 4 guys that can play in this league. I feel really strongly about where we're at." And look, this is just a fun story in general. I mean, this guy played at Division II Shepherd. I mean, he got a little buzz before the draft. Like he was, some experts were like, teams should take him in the 6th, 7th round. Like he's got something to work with. But even then, like a lot of 6th, 7th round quarterbacks, they don't stick around for long. Not only is this guy stuck around, he was in a QB room with 4 or 5 guys his rookie year, earned the backup job, went 2-2 as a starter when Justin Fields went down with that thumb injury, was the backup to Caleb Williams last year, clearly is the backup to Caleb Williams this year. I think Case Keenum will be on the team as well, but this extension is well-deserved. I mean, he's earned it. He's still an ascending young player, and I agree with Ben. I think he, at some point, will have a chance to start somewhere. Probably won't be here, but maybe it will be. Who knows? And he's still a young enough player. And, he talked about the thought of not signing this deal and hitting the open market next year, although he would have been a restricted free agent, so the Bears would have had some control. But he decided to stay loyal to the Bears, and he got emotional during his press conference this afternoon. And he said, he told a story. He said, "My dad, he's my right-hand man. He didn't have running water until he was in high school. There's definitely a lot of people that I can certainly help. I don't really know anyone back home with a lot of money. It definitely feels good and is a weight off my shoulders and my family's shoulders. It means a lot." And here's just kind of a little screen grab from Tyson, wiping the tears off earlier today when talking about this life-changing money. Listen, he's made a few $100,000 each of the last few years as an undrafted free agent. Listen, that's a lot of money, and for him too. But this is money that can set people up if you do it properly. He can take care of his parents, buy him a house if he wants, do all that kind of stuff. So I just think it's a great story of perseverance. Under-recruited, goes to Shepherd, balls out there, wins the D2 Heisman essentially. I think they won a national championship too. Gets his chance with the Bears, beats out a couple of veteran quarterbacks to be the backup, goes 2-2 his rookie year to earn his stripes in this league, is the backup under a new offensive coordinator last year, is the backup under this Ben Johnson offense this year, and Ben likes what he's seen so much, along with Ryan, that they've given him this extension before the season even starts. So happy for him, happy for his family, happy for the Bears. They're lucky to have this guy. He's a hell of a teammate. I think he's a pretty good player who is still the arrow's pointing up. For most backups in the NFL, the arrow's not pointing up. There's a few exceptions, young guys that maybe they drafted and they view as a future starter, but this is an undrafted rookie who I think there's a world he could start at some point. So definitely glad that they were able to work something out here. Sean Hammond said this as well, or he tweeted out that Bagent says he has a baby on the way. Papa Bagent, congratulations. No luxury purchases coming anytime soon. He plans on saving up for his family. So congrats to Tyson on becoming a dad soon as well. And then Courtney Cronin, I thought this was cool. posted that Ben Johnson let Tyson Bagent break down the huddle post-practice. There were loud cheers from his teammates celebrating his new deal, which meant the world to the quarterback. He noted how much it means to have the support of the front office coaching staff and that it's, quote, it's even better to know the dudes I'm out there fighting with, close quote, celebrated with him. They're just lucky to have this guy, man. He's got a great attitude. Sure, he has aspirations of being a starter, but not to the point where, like, it causes awkwardness in the QB room. He's been a huge supporter of Caleb's. He was a huge supporter of Justin's his rookie year. He understands the job of being a backup quarterback in the NFL. You have to prepare for a starter, but you have to have the humility of being the backup. So I just couldn't speak higher of this guy. He's a good player. He's clearly a good dude. His teammates love him. This new staff has embraced him as well. I mean, think about the different offensive voices he's worked with in 3 years. Luke Getsy, Shane Waldron, Thomas Brown, and now Ben Johnson and Declan Doyle and a ton of different quarterback coaches over the last 3 years. And guy just brings his lunch pail to work and gets the job done. So good for Tyson. Glad he's here. And I think we should show him some love. Don't you? Get the TBs going down in the chat for Tyson Bagent. Show QB2 some love as the Bears secure him for the next couple of years. All right, guys, I am Harrison Graham. Appreciate you for making it to the end of this video. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. We will be live for Bears versus Chiefs on Friday night. I'm sure we'll see a lot of Tyson Bagent and QB1 as well. Caleb Williams, bear down.
Ben said we actually didn't need to show the super chat, but Ben, we got you. You send the super chat, we'll get it on screen. He says, I think Brisker playing with a chip on his shoulder this year is going to be a great thing. Injury report, who is probably not going to play Friday. He also said during when we just broke it down that we don't need to show this, obviously. But
I'm guessing the guys who did not practice today are all going to be out.
I would imagine.
I mean, if you're not practicing 2 days before a preseason game, I highly doubt you're playing. The question is, does like Joe Tooney play in this game? Does Grady Jarrett play? Do they play DeAndre Swift? I wouldn't mind seeing Swift for a series or two. I think that the reason he didn't play last week is clearly he's their RB1, and you want to limit or I should say save your touches for your running back for the regular season because we know how violent those are. But I wouldn't mind seeing him out there for a drive or two with the starters because if he doesn't play, just like last week, sure, you have your ones out there, but the running back you have out there is a guy who's probably not going to be on the team. So I wouldn't mind if they had him out there, but we'll see. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who plays, how long they play, and obviously what happens in some of these roster battles. So appreciate the super chat, Benjamin. And we got another one from Avery, who asks, what's the Booker news? Just that he wasn't at practice today. Haven't seen any huge update by any means. I think if it was something serious, we would know. But he was one of several players who did not practice today. So
yeah, in fact, we can kind of just show the photo.
I would guess. Here's the list of who didn't practice today. I would guess all these guys, including Kyler Gordon, who was back. I would guess all the players on this screen are out. By the way, Shamar Turner, I'm guessing he'll play, and that's good news. We did not think he would play in the preseason, but I'm guessing he'll get some run, which I think those will be good reps for him because he obviously missed most of training camp with that ankle sprain. So get to see kind of the forgotten second-round rookie get some work, hopefully. So
yeah, hoping to see some flashes from him, and hopefully he's able to get some, as you mentioned, good run in this game. And I think this is kind of everyone's last shot before cutdown day. So if you're able to get out there and show your stuff, maybe not even necessarily to fight for a roster spot, maybe just battling on the depth chart, right, to get some more playing time.
Yeah, I think the schedule is they play today. They'll be off Saturday, I'm sure. Light practice Sunday probably. Monday's probably a padded practice, and then roster cutdown day Tuesday. And you might see starting Saturday, and this is why you subscribe, you might see some roster maneuvering, some early cuts because these teams have to go from 90 to 53, in the Bears' case, 91 to 53. You might see some late-round trade swaps. You saw the Jets and Browns do one of those today. The Bears did a couple of those last year for Darrell Taylor and Chris Williams. So we'll have all that covered. But, I think the next 4 or 5 days are going to be pretty busy. So keep us locked in. All right, we'll go ahead and jump into our next segment. Again, we're not doing a full Q&A segment, so if you do want to get your questions in, fire in those super chats. We'll get those on screen in between segments, and we'll keep it rolling here. Coming up next, we'll take a look at some trade targets that the Bears could look into before roster cutdown day. All right, coming up, we're going to take a look at some Bears trade targets that they could consider trying to bring in here before roster cutdown day. A couple of positions where they could add some talent that have caught my attention. But I want to hear from you fans. Any player, who should the Bears trade for? Let me know, and let's dive in. I'm Harrison Graham. This is Chicago Bears Now. I'm going to break down 5 players that the Bears could trade for before roster cutdown day. Now, that day is coming quick. August 26th at 3 o'clock Central Time. So that is this upcoming Tuesday. That is when 53-man rosters are due. The next day, the waiver wire hits at noon Central. So if the Bears put out any roster claims and land any players from other cuts around the league, they will then have to cut that same amount of players to make room. So that 24 hours can be pretty busy. So be sure you have us locked in. This is not a Trey Hendrickson, Micah Parsons video. Obviously, these are guys that are out there and could get traded at any point. But the guys I'm focusing on are more like smaller, mid type of names, guys that have been rumored that could move. You know, you see a lot of these pick swap trades, day 3 pick trades between now and roster cut down days. So that's kind of what we're focusing on here. Let's start with a name that's been in the headlines recently, Brian Robinson Jr. We talked about him a little bit on another video as well, but the Commanders have been actively shopping him. In his 3 NFL seasons, he's basically averaging 775 yards rushing. He's a big, physical, downhill runner at 6'1", 225. Not the most agile and fast back, but a physical player who can run between the tackles and wear down a defense. And I think a player who would complement DeAndre Swift pretty well. We're not really sure what Roschon Johnson's timeline is. It doesn't sound like Kyle Monangai's injury is something that's going to linger too long. We know what Travis Homer is. He's a specialist. These other guys are practice squad caliber players. I think this would be if you bring him in here, does that mean Roschon is out? Is he someone you would cut or IR stash or something like that? So keep an eye on that. Nikki Javella, by the way, who's covered the Commanders for a while, reported that Dan Quinn, this was on Wednesday, said no update on Brian Robinson. He's been excused from practice today, and quote, we hope to find or have a resolution to that soon. So they're trying to move him. They're trying to find him a new home. They're trying to get some kind of draft pick back. It's not going to cost much. When you're this out front in the public about, hey, like we're shopping him, they'll take probably a 6th and maybe even a 7th round pick, maybe even a pick swap. I think he's better than just flat out getting cut. You know, I've had people DM me, just wait till he's cut, then go get him. Well, the reason you see these small trades in terms of draft comp value is so you don't have to rely on waivers, so you don't have to bid with other teams if he clears waivers. Like, that's the whole point of why you do this. And it's been reported that the Commanders would eat some of his $3 million and change. So if you cut that in half and get him for a 6th or 7th round pick or a pick swap, $1.5 million for a guy who probably give you 700 plus rushing yards, I'm a big fan of that type of move if it is available. We'll come back to running back in a bit, but how about a name that we haven't talked about at all, Cam Robinson. So the Houston Texans signed Cam Robinson to a 1-year up to $12 million deal with like $10 million guaranteed, but that $10 million I think is already paid off. And the way his contract is structured, a lot of it is like incentive based. So, and it's tied to Houston. Here's the thing. He's probably not going to win the left tackle job. He was getting a lot of work with the ones. Then he got a little nicked up. Ariante Ursary, a player I loved in the draft, he started getting those reps. Titus Howard getting work on the right side, and the reports out of camp is that Ursary's been awesome. Now, the most recent practice, Robinson started to rotate back in with the ones, so if he's still in the mix to start at left tackle, Houston likely wouldn't trade him. But if it was clear that Ursery's going to win that job and they still have Blake Fisher who could be a swing tackle, then a guy like Cam Robinson, especially if they don't want to pay him those incentives on a game-to-game basis, could be available. And look, I think he's an above-average left tackle. The Vikings traded for him at the deadline last year once Darisaw went down. He has started over 100 games in this league. He's an above-average pass blocker. He's not the best run blocker, but what has Ben Johnson consistently said? We want our tackles to be able to block one-on-one on an island. Cam Robinson probably has a better resume of doing that at left tackle than anyone on this roster, and that includes a fully healthy Braxton Jones, which I don't think we've seen the best version of Braxton Jones during this left tackle competition. That just has not been that great. For the second week in a row, Ozzie Trapillo has been working at right tackle. Seems like he's out of the mix to start. Theo Benedette has been the primary guy to push Braxton Jones in the last week and a half or so. Sounds like Braxton's going to be the guy. I don't think there's some huge gap between Cam Robinson and Braxton Jones, but Robinson's healthy. He started over 100 games in this league. I do think he's better in pass pro. So I don't know if Houston decides that they're going with Ursery and they want to shed some potential cash that they would have to pay. I could see them flipping Robinson for like a late day 3 pick. Do you want to bring in a guy this late in the process to try to learn the offense and be your left tackle? It's not ideal, but the way this competition is played out isn't ideal. Ben Johnson said so himself. Like, it's not ideal that no one has just stolen this job. So I'm at least interested here, especially if it doesn't cost that much. And if you trade for him, it's only a $3.25 million cap hit. It's like no money. So I would at least make that phone call if I'm Ryan Poles, especially if you get through this Chiefs game and it's not a great game from Braxton Jones. Should the Bears trade for a left tackle? Yes or no? What say you? I want to hear from Bears fans down in the comment section below. All right, I scoured the edge market. Obviously, Micah, Trey Hendrickson, those guys speak for themselves. Anthony Jennings has been made available by the New England Patriots. Pretty good run stopper, okay pass rusher, not a ton of production there. His pass rush win rate isn't terrible, but not a lot of sack production, 5.5 sacks in 61 games. But he's played a lot of ball for the Patriots. He's played under Belichick as well, so I do like that. And he's graded out above average as a run defender. We know Dennis Allen values that. Now, he's like 6'3", 255. Like, he's bigger than a Daniel Hardy, but he's not exactly a Tano Passanio either, so it's probably not a perfect scheme fit. But Austin Booker's dinged up. Dominique Robinson's dinged up. Those guys are relatively unproven anyway. Robinson at this point, anything you get would be a luxury. I am high on Booker, but he's still a relative unknown. But even if he hits, that 4th spot, is it Passanio? Do you bring in a guy like Anthony Jennings? This would be like a late-round pick swap because the Patriots are advertising, hey, come get him. So, you send a 6th for Jennings and a 7th and call it a day type of deal. I'd be open to that. A player of his caliber, we know he can be a rotation rusher, especially against the run early down. So potentially a name to monitor between now and cut down day. Get yourself a Caleb Williams jersey today for only $100. Chatsports.com/Caleb jersey. These are Nike authentic jersey. Don't know how long this price is going to last. Once the season gets here, they could jack them back up. So check it out right now. Chatsports.com/Caleb jersey. Link is in the comments and in the description. All right, we'll talk about Kenneth Walker and Breece Hall here, kind of back-to-back as 3 running backs on this video along with Brian Robinson. There's been some deep rumors. I've heard a little chatter. I've seen other stuff on the internet. There's a new report out of Seattle that Seattle's kind of frustrated with Walker's nagging injuries that he's had over the years, and that's continued throughout training camp. Zach Charbonnet's impressed them, so it does make you wonder if they'd be willing to move him. I've heard other chatter that they could be willing to move him as well. I doubt they would cut him, but maybe they would trade him. Breece Hall, I haven't heard as much on the front of they would trade him, but what I have heard is they do like Braylon Allen a lot and potentially more than Breece Hall, so he may not even be the starter there. And with him also being in the last year of his contract, would you just trade him if you're the Jets? They've also been, just kind of side note here, they've been on the market for a wide receiver. Could you flip Tyler Scott in a late pick for Breece Hall? Justin Fields played with Tyler Scott. Just a thought that kind of just came to my brain as well. I think I did see one other person tweet that, but just something to consider there on that front, like a 6th-round pick and Tyler Scott for Breece Hall. Who says no? Their production's been pretty similar throughout their careers. Hall's been a little bit more efficient than Kenneth Walker. He's definitely been more productive in the receiving game as well. Walker's also been both these guys have been dinged up at times. So I do think either guy you bring in, you'd be bringing in at least a relative injury risk. But both these guys fully right, you could argue, are better players than DeAndre Swift, and at worst, a good compliment to DeAndre Swift. So we've talked about 3 running backs here: Brian Robinson Jr., Kenneth Walker, Breece Hall. If you could pick any of them, who would you pick? If it's Brian Robinson Jr., type BR. If it's Kenneth Walker, type KW. If it's Breece Hall, type BH. I could see 1, 2, all these guys get moved between now and cutdown day. So something to monitor for sure. Let us know which back you like the best for Chicago. All right, guys, that'll do it for this episode of Chicago Bears Now. We will continue to monitor the trade market and everything that's going on within the NFL between now and week 1, and certainly now on roster cutdown day. So hit that subscribe button and bear down.
Justin Collins said, should the Bears still get Micah Parsons, or I guess trade for him?
I mean, I'm open to it, certainly.
Ooh, speaking of Micah, Brian Schottenheimer on Micah Parsons' availability September 4th with or without a contract extension said, quote, I feel good that Micah will be out there against the Philadelphia Eagles. Obviously, who the Cowboys open with to start the NFL season.
I wonder if that's based on a conversation he said, or if that's just kind of like coach speak. Like, yeah, he'll be out there. Why wouldn't he?
Yeah, I'd love to see the clip of him actually answering the question, but
yeah,
we'll
see.
Who knows? Who the heck knows?
Time will tell.
Yeah, keep answer down below. Pick a running back. Seen a lot of BRs. Do see some KW.
I do think Brian Robinson would be the cheapest.
Here, I'm actually going to update the poll.
I like that.
Just because I'm kind of curious.
I like that.
Just to get a gauge, you know.
I like it.
And Breece Hall. Because I think especially, you know, all 3 of these guys, they have legitimate reasons to be moved or could be moved. I'm interested to see what you guys have to say. Feel free to go answer in the live poll. Let us know. All 3 of these guys, I think, would be really good schematical compliments to DeAndre Swift.
Yep.
And as much as I, love Kyle Monangai, they would be no doubt upgrades to the RB2 position.
Yeah, I mean, they're all proven, right?
Yep.
Even if in some ways they haven't reached their full potential, they've still been good players when healthy. And it just takes the pressure off of Monangai. I think with all these guys, they'd all be on expiring deals. I don't think you would extend any of them right away if you got them. I think you'd kind of play this year out, at least the first several weeks. If one of them's popping off, maybe work on a deal before the trade deadline or something. But play this year out. If it makes sense for both sides to bring that player back, cool. If not, Monangai's probably played a little bit his rookie year. If they like what they've seen out of him, you could roll with him. And Swift next year. Swift's contract you can also get out of after this year. So you have some flexibility at running back if you bring in one of these expiring contracts long term. It's not like you'd be tied down to really any of your backs. So to me, I kind of view it as like, how can you improve that room this year? And I think adding any of these guys would help improve that room.
So currently 37 votes. If you haven't voted already, vote in the live chat. Now 38. Brian Robinson Jr. running away, 57%, followed by Breece Hall at 29, Kenneth Walker at 14%.
So you think that's because the cost will be cheaper, or just because like his name's been in the news cycle more?
Could be. Listen, Brian Robinson, when he's right, I think he's a really good running back. I do think the potential, and again, you mentioned the health concerns, obviously with Kenneth Walker and a little bit with Breece Hall. Brian Robinson might be the most reliable in terms of on-the-field play.
He might be the highest floor guy.
He may be.
But I do think the ceilings of the other two are higher.
I would agree.
Especially when you factor in the pass catching.
Yeah.
I mean, like Breece Hall for sure. So
yeah, Breece Hall's a more natural pass catcher, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I like all three of these backs. I mean, I think when they're all healthy, they're at least lower end starting caliber backs. That's the thing. You don't necessarily need like a badass running back. Like, sure, it'd be cool to have one of the best, but if you bring in any of these guys, you basically have two low end starters. That's a good 1-2 punch to work off of. Definitely wouldn't mind that. Raises the floor of the room for sure.
Don't have to tell me, DC. Don't have to tell me.
Yeah, Cullen was kind of in shambles when he saw that report that Charbonnet might be leading the charge there.
It's more or less just frustrated that K9 is, again, dealing with stuff. And it's completely
That's the risk
justified.
with him. I mean, if he's just dealing with a nagging injury.
Yeah.
So.
And listen, he committed to, changing his diet, going to bed earlier. He did all the things that you'd want a running back to do in order to take care of yourself in terms of health. But at the end of the day, like we always say, availability is the best ability. And Walker right now is, rightfully so, the Seattle's coaching staff's not happy with him. So I would expect it to be more of a split kind of backfill with him and Zach Charbonnet.
Is there a world where he gets cut?
No.
You don't think so?
No. You mentioned that to me yesterday. I didn't want to react this way in front of our because we were kind of doing something, but there's no chance. I would be shocked if they just flat out just cut him.
Yeah, I would agree.
Now,
you'd think someone would at least throw a late pick for him.
Yeah, and even if he's hurt, you have him under contract this year, and he's your best running back on the roster. I love Zach Charbonnet and everything. The ceiling with Kenneth Walker is higher.
Yeah, I agree.
So it just wouldn't make sense to cut him, in my opinion.
See what happens there.
We'll
what
see.
happens.
And again, listen. If you're a fantasy football guy, get Zach Charbonnet while you can. Get Zach Charbonnet while you can, because I think he's going to have a pretty big year this year.
And Bill Krosky-Merritt.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right, we got one more segment here, and then we'll call it off as the Chicago Bears head to Arrowhead Stadium on Friday night to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. Preseason finale, starters playing. Should be a lot of fun. It's a little breakdown for you. I'm Harrison Graham. Let's get into a Bears-Chiefs preseason preview as Chicago visits Kansas City to play at Arrowhead Stadium on Friday night, as Caleb Williams and the starters will take on Patrick Mahomes, and the Chiefs starters. Should be fun as both teams will play their ones. All right, that is where I'll start here. Can Caleb cook versus ones? Because against the Bills, mostly twos. I think a couple starters were out there. He cooked. 6 of 10, 107 yards and a touchdown. We've already outlined the incompletions multiple times. He basically was 6 for 7, or 7 for 8, because Rome dropped the ball. He had to dirt a couple passes. There was really one quote-unquote miss out of all 10 of his throws. So pretty damn good day at the office in his 2 drives against Buffalo. But this is a different test. It'll be against starters. It'll be on the road in a louder environment. Even if it's not a true regular season primetime environment, it's still Arrowhead Stadium. Like, it's going to be fairly loud. So a good opportunity to kind of, work through the operation in a different, less comfortable environment for Caleb Williams, for Ben Johnson, for the whole operation. So I just think from that standpoint, it's smart that they play. Kind of what I said last week. The results are the results. Like, unless he goes out there and throws 4 picks, I'm not gonna panic if it's not as crisp as it was the time before. But it sure would be nice if he played 2-3 drives and they scored again. I'd be down for that. So excited to see how he looks against a starting caliber defense, and a defense that's been one of the best in the league over the last several years. We will be live for this game, a live Bears versus Chiefs watch party this Friday night, 5:45 Central Time, kickoff at 7. We'll have our pregame extravaganza at 5:45, get you ready for the game, live play-by-play action during the game, and then we'll do our post-game content as well. So be sure to lock us in as we got you guys covered here on Chicago Bears Now. Okay, how long do the starters play? Last week the offensive starters played 14 snaps. The defense only played 3. They got a 3 and out, and they called it. So I would imagine at least the defense is going to play more than they did. Maybe the offense plays a similar amount of snaps. Pat, the designer, had a tweet based on what Andrew Billings said, because Billings was asked how long the Bears are going to play starters. Now, Billings is kind of with the twos now, so he's not a true starter, so take this with a grain of salt. But he said that they're going to play until the starters get tired. So Pat, the designer, kind of speculated. He said, don't know how many snaps that is, but I would assume it's more than 2 drives. And, these coaches typically put it into a snap count range. 15 to 20 snaps each side of the ball. That could be anywhere from 2 drives to 4, depending on, are there a couple of 3 and outs on each side in there? That could be anywhere from, close to a quarter to a quarter and a half. I could see that being the case. And Andy Reid sometimes will play his starters for multiple drives. So, you played 2 drives offensively last week. I'd like to do at least 2 again, if not 3 or 4. And then defensively, I think you got to play at least 2. You only played 3 snaps last week, and I'd like to do at least 2, if not 3 or 4 as well. So we'll see how it goes. Sounds like it could be a little bit more than a week ago, which is exciting to say the least. How long should the starters play on Friday night? You guys make the call for us on that one. I say in that 15 to 20 snap range. You can base your answer on snaps, drives, until they score, whatever. Let me know. I'm curious what Bears fans are looking for. Obviously, roster bubble watch. You get into this final preseason game, and, it's kind of your lasting impression for guys fighting for a roster spot. Some guys will be here for at least 1 more practice, maybe even 2, before the true roster cutdown day on Tuesday. They probably won't practice Saturday. They'll have a lightish practice Sunday, I would guess, maybe a full practice Monday, and then cuts are on Tuesday. So, you got a couple, final opportunities after the game. But the game might really be it for some of these guys who are going to get some extended runs. So we'll tell you about some of those players on the bubble here in just a few moments, but I got to tell you about our sponsor first. That is Prize Picks, the best daily fantasy sports app is Prize Picks, and you guys can get signed up with an account today at prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Preseason football is rolling along. College football is here, so don't miss any of the action on Prize Picks. It's very easy to play as you pick just more or less on stat projections for 2 to 6 player lineups. If you get your lineup right, you can win up to 2,000 times your money. Week 0 is here, so take advantage of that. And the big boys, the pros, they're going to be here pretty soon as well. We got a special deal for you, a max discount for Dak Prescott. Take more than half a passing yard. Pair that with something else. If you want to just do a 2-player lineup, you're halfway home to winning some money. Get started today. Download the PrizePicks app. Use code CLNS to get $50 in the lineups after you play for just $5. That's code CLNS to get $50 in the lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. Link is in the comments and to the description of this video. Okay, the Bears roster bubble. We broke this down in detail on a video earlier on Wednesday, but by my count, there's 21 players on the roster bubble. Some of these guys could be safe, or some of these guys may have no shot, but the way I see it, it's these 21 guys. I'll just sprint through them here. Roschon Johnson, 4 receivers, probably 1 or 2 spots. Devin Duvernay, Miles Boykin, Tyler Scott, Jade Walker. 2 tight ends, Stephen Carlson and Joel Wilson. Some offensive linemen, Kron Amagaji, Luke Newman, Doug Kramer, Jordan McFadden, and Bill Murray. Some edge rushers, Dominique Robinson, Tano Passanio, and Daniel Hardy. Chris Williams, Zach Pickens, and Jonathan Ford at defensive tackle. And then at corner, Nick McLeod, Trey Flowers, Zay Frazier, who's been around recently but hasn't practiced. Not sure what they're going to do with him if he's been dealing with a personal issue. I think Nick McLeod's in a good spot. Trey Flowers could be on that bubble. We'll see if the veteran can put together a final preseason game that is worthy of keeping him around. Reminder that roster cutdown day this Tuesday, August 26th at 3 o'clock Central Time. So that's when the Bears and everyone else will have to trim from 90 to 53. Okay, next, does Braxton Jones lock up the left tackle job? Split time with the ones last week in practice with Theo Benedict, but he has started both preseason games, including the game in which the ones played against the Buffalo Bills. At Wednesday's practice, he got all the reps with the ones, it sounds like, as well. Zach Pearson had this note as he thinks it's trending more and more likely to Braxton Jones being the Week 1 starter. One preseason game left, but I believe he's going to be that starter. He also had the note that Ozzie Trapillo continues to work at right tackle. Kron Amagaji's out of the mix. Ozzie Trapillo seems to be out of the mix. He's going to be on the team, obviously, but he's not going to be your Week 1 left tackle. But Braxton Jones probably is. I would say this, and listen, I would like them to start Theo Benedict in this game just to see how he does with the ones, but assuming Braxton starts, if he at least holds his own and is solid, I think he's at least the Week 1 starter. Now, Ben Johnson said recently that may not be a permanent situation, could be something that's ongoing, and we have to reevaluate a few weeks in, perhaps at the bye week, but I think he would have to shit the bed against the Chiefs to not start Week 1 at left tackle. Doesn't feel like he's truly won the job, but I do think he's been playing better the last few days and last week or so. I don't think the Bears have loved how this left tackle competition has played out, but that always kind of felt the case, right? If it wasn't going to be a competition where someone just took it, they were probably going to lean on the veteran in Braxton Jones, and that appears to be what is happening here. We'll see if he can officially secure it. I think a strong performance on Friday, and he will. Will Braxton Jones win the left tackle job? I say probably yes. Type Y for yes, type in for no. We'll see what he does on Friday night. All right, lastly, and I think this is kind of an under-talked about, I don't want to say development, but just storyline, is who handles the return duties? Because if all things are equal and Devin Duvernay makes the 53-man roster, I think he's the guy, probably as your punt returner and potentially as your kick returner as well. I know Kyle Monangai in the opener got the first crack at kick return. Tyler Scott got the first crack last week, and he almost went full Velus Jones. So I don't know if he's viable. I don't even know if Tyler Scott's making the team. But if Duvernay makes the team, it feels like it's his job. But he got banged up recently. What if he doesn't make the team, or what if he's not ready for Week 1? Well, we saw Olamide Zaccheaus catch a fair catch in last week's game. Luther Burden was out there for a fair catch. Kyle Monangai at kick return's been in the mix. I don't think he'd be a punt return option. Josh Blackwell's done the job before as well. We've seen Maurice Alexander back there, but I don't think he's truly a threat to make the roster. So we'll have to see. I mean, I think if Duvernay's on the team, he's likely the guy, but if not, is it Luther Burden? I mean, I'd like to see Burden get an opportunity, at least at kick return. So we'll see what happens there. But you'd like to have someone, be the reliable returner and give you some juice on special teams. So that's what I'm looking for. We'll see if someone can pop in this final preseason game. So there you have it, some storylines to watch in this preseason finale as Caleb and the starters will play against Mahomes and the Chiefs starters. Should be a lot of fun. We, of course, will have it all covered here on Chicago Bears Now. So be sure to subscribe and join us. If you see this thumbnail, you'll know you're in the right place. Subscribe, turn on notifications. That way you know exactly when we go live, which will be at 5:45 Central Time. And, of course, share the link below with a friend. It's youtube.com/Bears Now. Should be a good time. And then the next time we do one of these, it'll be the real deal. So see you guys on Friday night. Bear down. Oh, man. Well,
Here we are.
there you have it.
Here we are.
There he is, having the time of his life. All right. Well, see you guys Friday. I'm just kidding. Shout out to everybody who tuned in today. I know it's a scheduled change. We usually go live on Thursdays, but wanted to space it out this week since we have the game on Friday, so pivoted to today. Kudos to Cullen for changing his off day as well, so appreciate that. We'll have some content on the channel tomorrow. Obviously, if news drops, we'll have that covered, and we'll have some other stuff go out, so still be on the lookout. And then could be a busy weekend, too. Guys start to get cut. You could see some trades around the league, so that'll be exciting. And getting close, man. Football's in the air. The real deal is going to be here pretty soon. 2 weeks from tomorrow is opening night. Cowboys, Eagles.
It's pretty sweet. It's pretty sweet. Can't wait.
A little college football this weekend. I'm excited for Kansas State, Iowa State, and Ireland.
I really want to see how Rocco Beck does this weekend.
Rocco
Obviously,
Beck's an exciting player.
Yeah.
It's a good QB matchup. Avery Johnson. I'm excited.
playmaker. Yeah, I think it'll be exciting.
That's a sneaky playoff implication game.
Yes.
So, the national media may not say it, but within the Big 12, it's kind of wide open. And I think both Iowa State and Kansas State would say, yeah, we have playoff aspirations. Well, you lose that opener, which is a conference game, that dings your chances significantly. So it's a pretty massive game to kick off the college football season.
Huge, someone would say.
Huge.
Cyhawk.
Cyhawk, yeah. Iowa
Yep.
State.
Yep.
They'll play in a few weeks. They always do. I don't know. I think it's at Iowa State this year. I think Iowa State beat them at Iowa a year ago. So be interesting to see what happens there. All right. Football's in the air. It's fun. We're so back. Can't wait for Friday night. Again, we'll have some content out for you guys tomorrow. Don't forget to subscribe. Bear down.